Right, so I'm back and back to the tutorials after COVID. So a short break. So we're looking now at using up leftover bits if you've been doing diamond dot painting. So just a process of sticking on tiny little round or square dots to form pictures and patterns. So when you're at the end of your kit, you have an awful lot that's left over, and I've made a collection in little pots, one colour in each pot. So let's have a look. What we've got here is a beautiful strip down. I'll try and get nearer the camera. And you can do all sorts of bead patterns. So one of the things to look for is perhaps bead loom patterns, because they're all in straight lines and very easy to follow. Now, the next thing that I found useful was printable grid paper. So this is 7 squares to an inch, or 7 squares to 2.5 centimeters. I'll put you the link underneath so that you can go to the site and print your own off. Okay, I've been working on a width of 5 squares because that corresponds to my double-sided tape size. Okay, so you can play around doing all sorts of designs with the colours that you've got, but I'm going to go freehand, and we're going to go to match this bird, which will go on the card. So the first thing I need is some guidelines. So it doesn't actually matter what spacing your guidelines are. So let's find this one. And this is the centre of my card. So that folds like that. And I want to put some guidelines somewhere on this front. So, like I said, it doesn't matter where they are. And so I'm going to come back to there, bearing in mind the size of my picture. Right, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 lines inside that. So I've got a spine coming down here and a space, and it's about 3/4 of an inch, or about 2 centimeters. So put my board to one side, and I'm going to take my tape here. Now, this is a tape that does not have the flange on it that makes it easy lift. Okay, so I want my tape to go right the way down the middle there, and I'm going to tear it off. So let's have a look. I've gone down the middle and I've got a little edge either side. Okay, so I'm going to take my scissors at the moment and just trim the edges off nicely. Now we're winging it, right? I'm not going to go to a set pattern, and you'll see why in a minute. So now, don't know if you can see, I've just got my tape down through there, and I'm going to place a ruler just this side of the tape, because I want to be able to butt up all of my little beads to the edge of my tape, and a ruler is the ideal way to do it. Now let's have a look at the equipment. I've got a couple of the holders that pick up the beads, and in each kit that you buy you get one of these little trays. So I've got a whole stack of them because I do like doing this. Now there's different pickup tools. Now I will mention about this one here, which has a flat end, and that is so that you can pick up 3 beads together. It's not easy when you're beginning, but it can be helpful later on. And you also get one of these wax pieces here. So all that is simply take your end of your pickup tool, press it in, and into the end will go some of the sticky wax. Right, I'm going to have a look at my picture I'm working to, and I think I'm going to pick up the brown of the bird. So this is my brown. Now I'm going to use this as the edge of my design because the brown will be quite dramatic against the white. So I'm going to hold that in place there and give your tray a shake, because then a lot of the little beads will stand up the right way. So it's then just a case of starting at one end and placing each bead next to one another. Give them a quick shake. Now I'm going to go to this one because I want to show you picking up 3. It's picked up 2. So you can see that it will make your design go a lot faster if you can pick up 2 or 3 at a time. So I'm going to carry on down to the bottom, and then we'll be back to see the next part. Right, so I've just gone all the way down and I've put 5 across the top and the bottom because that's going to be my finished width of my beading. So now I've taken out some of the black that will pick up the black bits here, and I've given it a shake, and I'm going to count down 7 little beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm going to put a black one next to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is there. So that has just worked out nicely. So now I want to bring in some of the red. So let's find, that's pink. See how it's nice to have several trays that you can work with, particularly when you're designing like this. So I'm now going to take this, I'm going to put a red one in front as my number 2 bead, and I'm going to go one either side of it. So I'm starting to build up a little pattern. So 1 in front, to either side. You can spend time planning on your printable grid. Okay. And your actual pattern will turn out the right size for all your little beads. Okay, so if you don't feel confident in just playing with colour, then do take time, and it's nice colouring in a grid anyway. So we have one each side. Now I want to repeat that, making a triangle there if possible. So we've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 2 more I can do. So I think I'm going to go black and red either side of it. So 2, 1, 2, and there'll be a brown all the way down that side. So I'm going to complete this pattern here. So there's red. Let's bring in my tray, and I'm going to go black in there, black in there. There's no reason why you can't just do a random pattern. So now I'm going to come back with red each side. I have to excuse the music in the background. One of the local homes is having an afternoon, and they do tend to turn the music up rather high. So I've got one more missing there. So I've now got my pattern coming down, and I'm now going to fill in with another brown row. So if I take my ruler again, I can line up these top ones, and then I can come in with confidence and pick up all of these. So I shall go to the center of these pieces here. So I will be right with my pattern. There we go. So I know that is every 7 beads, and I'll complete filling in there and be back. So I've completed my other side down, and you can just straighten up any lines that need straightening. And I'm going to go from this pattern, I'm going to put black ones here as well. So we are just working this so it's just pleasing to the eye rather than working to a pattern. I will do a small pattern at the end. Right. Now, if I have a look at my colours, let's miss that one. To make sure they're all the right way up. Right, so I've got a nice pattern forming here, I would like to bring in some yellow on here. So I think what I'm going to do is to take a black spot and put it in the middle of each of these areas here. Okay. This is just being placed by eye. Right, so I've now got spots coming down the middle. I'm going to take my yellow that I wanted to bring in. Shake to get them situated right. Now I'm going to do a little flower arrangement around here. So I'm going one top and bottom and then fitting in two around the side. And then two. So can you see now I've made a tiny flower? Just going to lift that up if we can. So you can see here I've made my tiny flower. So I'm going to continue that and then we'll be back to do the fill-in. Right, so now I've completed all the little flowers, okay, down the middle. And there's one centre one and it's surrounded by little pink ones. I can see I've got a spare bead there. Right, okay, so what I'm left with now are some areas where I've got glue from the double-sided tape, but no beads. So I'm going to use, I think, a pale pink. Pop those back in there because I need the tray. And I've got some pink. Yes, I'm going to use the darker pink, I think. Right. So I've got a few there. Just pick them up, give them a shake, and they'll start to stand up. Now, all I'm going to do now is to take the pink and fit in where I can to cover the area I haven't managed to do. So it looks at the moment as though I'm getting a line of 3 pink, a line of 3 pink, and I've got a little space here which I can put the odd bead in. Right, it's not picking up, so I go back to my wax and put another piece of wax on. Be prepared to add wax as you go. Okay. So now this one, I've got enough to do 4 corners to start with. Each piece may not be the same, but as long as you've got the same colours going into it, it will look perfectly natural. So I'm just looking at where I've got areas of exposed glue, and I'm just filling in with a background colour. So I'm going to go on and fill that background in, and we'll look at the next stage. So now I've got all my background glue covered, and we bring in my bird that we've been matching the colours to. So I'm going to give that a quick spray. You can use whatever glue you like. And there is my little bird, the goldfinch, that goes onto there. Okay, so there is one freehand, if you like, beaded braid. There's another one. This one is rather tighter, right? So this one I've gone over and filled in the gaps randomly. Right, so there's a couple of lovely braids down a card just using waste diamond dots. Right, so we're going to look at something different to the small strips that we've done. Okay, and so what I've taken is some double-sided adhesive and I've put it onto a piece of card and I've die cut my shape out. Now it just so happens that this is 2 inches. It's exactly the same size as my grid here. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to place it onto there. Leave that in place for the moment. And I'm just going to cut a little border all the way around. Give it a quick spray. And place that. And I'm going to go diagonally onto my card. Now I can take this off, and my die had a scalloped edge all the way around, so that gives me a starting point for my pattern. So I'm going to take the black ones and we're going to go into each of these scallops. So I'm going to complete pattern here, and we'll be back for the next portion. So now I've gone all the way round the outside, 1 bead in each of the scallops. I'll pop that on the side. I'm coming in now with some blue. And what I'm going to do is to go in between all of these scallops, but just a fraction inside. So I'm going to start off there. See what happens when we come to the corner. There's one into the corner there, one into the corner there, turn it. Your wrist will be better at doing one, placing it one way or another. So do find out what's best for you. Will change whether you're right or left-handed, and it will change on your eyesight as well. So let's go around. Okay, so I'm coming up to the next corner. So place one in the corner, turn, and then we're coming down the side. Sometimes it's difficult to see if you've placed one the wrong way, but you'll soon catch the light as you turn it. Okay, so we're down to the next corner, one into the corner, turn, and then you can start coming down the last side. Because you've got the pattern to start with from your scallops, then that makes it a lot easier. There we go. So we've now, let's move that one in a little bit. It's better. Try not to put your fingers on the actual adhesive. Right, so we've got black, we've got blue. Now I'm going to start a pattern. So I'm going to take black and go in the middle. Looking at which way up my card is, and I'm going slightly above centre. Press it down. Right, now I'm going to have a look at yellow. I'm going to make a flower. So, placed one there. I'm going to do 2 circles now of yellow. So I'm spacing them out. And one more. Push one in a little bit. Now I've got one circle for my centre of my flower, and I'm going to take the next one, and I'm doing a second circle. And first of all, I'm going in between those first ones I've placed. Go back in a minute and complete a larger circle. Okay, so now I'm going around, filling in. So I've got a complete, beautifully spaced circle. Last one, I think. There we go. So there is my surround. There is my flower starting. Right, so let's see. I think I had some lilac. Have I got a darker blue? No. I'm going to put the green in next to start my leaf. First of all, I want to get my stem going. So I'm going to make it slightly wavy. And I'm going to do 2 leaves. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go in between those. Put one more, I think, up there. So there's one leaf coming off, and we did 4 to make the leaf, so we're coming up this way. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, and then between those I'm placing another 4. Right, if it stops picking up, then go back to your bit of jelly, your wax, and pick up an extra bit. So I think I'm going to put 4 on there. There. So there are my 2 leaves, the center of my flower. Let's put those back. Do try and put your things back if you're not going to use them again. Now, I think we're going to go for, let's see what blue this is, pale blue. So I'm now going to think about petals. So I'm going to try 1, 2, 3. I don't want to go too near that. So 1, 2. So I'm going into alternate little dips. So I've got one sticking out. Next one will be here. 1, 2. Now the next one will be coming out here. And I'm not going to be able to get 2 in there. So I'll put 2 in. The next one to complete that. Now I have to decide whether I'm going to open the petals out and make them a bit fatter. This is working as you go, and just the same as if you were drawing with a pen. We're just drawing with beads. So let's see how we're coming on. That one, I need to add some to this one to make this fatter. Okay. And I think I'm just going to go and add another one to make the petal a bit longer. Okay. Right, so I've now got my little petals coming out. I'm just going to add a little spike between. So you're building up your flower by doing little sections. We need just another spike this side. Right, so there is my pretty little flower. Right, now we have got a lot of spare adhesive all the way around. So what I'm going to do with that is to place these back in their little pots. This was the dark blue. This one into the black. And I'm going to pick up a pot of white. So now I've got some white, and I can now take the white and just randomly fill in between, and that means there'll be very little adhesive exposed. Right, there is a trick you can use, which we'll go through. If you take an old handkerchief or a bit of fabric and just dip into it some baby powder or talc, then you can bundle it all up together into a little pack of powder and just dab it over the top. Okay, that will take any of the adhesive off. And it also helps as well if you've actually put adhesive in the wrong place on your cards. You can sometimes get away with dabbing it with the talc and getting rid of any sticky where you don't want it. So all I'm doing now is filling in the background. Not every little bit will be covered, but because the beads are raised up, you won't actually touch the adhesive. Keep giving your trays a little shake to resettle them, and then they'll all be the right way up for you to simply pick and place. So I wonder how many of you have actually thrown away the spare bits you had left over because you couldn't work out what to do with them. Right, so we're nearly all the way round. One more, I think, into there. And I should be able to now move my finger over the top and feel that there's no other areas that are sticky. And I'm just going to place one between the leaves here because there's a white area left. There. Right, so there is my the waste from my diamond dots. and I've pulled in a little bit of colour all the way around, and now I can add gold or silver corners, and we can also add diamond dots to those. So here we have some large corners. So pick them up with your tweezers, take your fingers out the way, and then you can place them to see that they're accurately placed. Two. Three. And the last one. Right. Here we go. So now we can add in a few elements, but it's not sticky. Okay, so there's no reason why you cannot take your PVA or anything that you like using to stick your bits down, and I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive to accent the little flower that's on there. So I think we're going to go for darker blue. Don't need to do too many. I'm actually going to pick those up with my tweezers. Okay, this is purely because we haven't got a strong adhesive underneath that it will adhere to at the moment. This is going to have to set. So I'm just adding a tiny little bit of colour. Yeah. Right. And we've got another flower that is up here. So I'm just going to cut up from there and a tiny bit of glue in there. Just to accent the flowers that are on the corner peel off. And the last one. Onto there. So that is my completed card. Tiny little accents to bring the colour out to the edge, and a totally freehand design in the middle. Okay, so I don't want you to be held back by having to have a pattern, right? So do have a go and just enjoy creating a random pattern. It doesn't have to be sort of really artistic. All these are really doing is pulling in some of the colours from here. Okay, so the important thing is have fun and use what you have in your stash. God bless you all.